Hello, boys and girls. Okay, while I manage to figure out how to do this, there we go. That wasn't so bad. Okay, today we are working on Lesson 13, Session 3. We are going to be subtracting with mixed numbers. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to dive into are the try it problems. And it says, on Saturday, Chloe spent 3 1/4 hours at the park with her family. She then spent 1 2/3 hours riding her bike. How much longer did she spend at the park than riding her bike? Give your answers as number of hours. So they're giving you a clue, first of all, that this is our unit. So our numbers of hours. Now there's a couple different ways that we can subtract mixed numbers, and I'm going to show you both, but you don't forget, do what you're most comfortable with when you get the practice problems. So for the first one we have, I'm just going to rewrite it so I know what problem I'm doing. I'm doing 3 1/4 because that's my bigger number, and I'm subtracting 1 2/3 because I'm finding the difference. All right, so first thing, and the most important thing, is that when you are subtracting mixed numbers, you also have to have that common denominator. We cannot forget about it. But what you'll notice is that we've got these whole numbers in here that are kind of in the way. So one way that we can do this is we can turn them into improper fractions again. So yes, we're going to go backwards, and then we're going to subtract, and then if we need a mixed number, we can find it again. Sounds like a lot of steps. So step one is I always like to make these times and plus signs to help me turn it back into a improper fractions. So I start at the bottom, I start at 4, and I multiply by 3. So 4 times 3 gives me 12, and then I come up here and I add the 1, so plus 1, and that gives me 4 times 13, and then I use the same denominator I did before, so that's 4. So this mixed number turned into an improper fraction is 13 over 4. And I do the same thing over here. So 3 times 1, and then I come up and it's plus 2, equals 3, 4, 5. And I use the same denominator over 3. I like those times and plus because it helps me remember what pattern I start with. So I've got 13/4 and 5/3, and I need to subtract them. 13/4 minus 5/3. But I can't do it, cannot do it, because I don't have common denominators. All right, so how do I find those? There's a couple different ways to do it, but I like to make my trains, and I know 4 and 3, so if I have 4, 8, 12, 16, with 3 I have 3, 6, 9, 12. 12 is my common denominator. So just like we did with addition, you try to turn both of these into a denominator with 12. So I'm going to put 13 over 4 turns into something over 12, and I'm going to do 5 over 3 turns something over 12. Same pattern as before. Whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the, whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. Can't forget that part. So here, 4 times what gives me 12? I know it's times 3. So up here, 13 times 3. Woo, that's a big number. So I'm going to have to do it over here. 13 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 1 is 3. So that's 39. Over here, 3 times what gives me 12? It's times 4. And I know 5 times 4 gives me 20. So now my new problem is 39 over 12 minus 20 over 12. And you're doing the same thing. You just take this number and subtract. 39 minus 20. 9 minus 0 is 9. 3 minus 2 is 1. So I have 19 over 12. And I can't leave it as 19 over 12 because it's an improper fraction. So I'm going to turn it into a mixed number. I know it's an improper fraction because my top number is bigger than my bottom number. So I'm going to make my whole number box and my line, and I'm going to say, okay, how many whole times does 12 fit into 19? I know it fits in one whole time. And then this right here, my numerator, is what's left over. So if I start at 12 and I count up to 19, I get 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's 7. And then I have a 12 down here. So that's my answer. 1 and 7/12. And then I have to put my units, hours. Whew, lots of steps. So to review, I took these numbers and I turned them into improper fractions. Then I found my common denominator, which was 12. Changed the numerator so that they were equivalent fractions. I subtracted. I got 19 over 12. Can't use that as an answer because it's an improper fraction. So I turned it into a mixed number. Okay, another way that we can do that, don't forget guys, you are taking notes in your book. Another way that we can do that is with number lines. So if I have 3 and 1/4, and I have 1 and 2/3, I know my number line is probably going to be between 0 and 4 because of the numbers that I have here. So I'm going to make a number line starting like this. I'm going to do 4, I'm going to do 0, I'm going to make my middle one 2, I'm going to cut those like that and make this one 1 and make this one 3. Now looking at these, I've got whole numbers and then I've got fractions here. What you can do with this is you can take this whole number or this fraction and just turn those into your common denominators. So I'm going to keep my 3 as a whole number, and I'm going to turn the 1/4 into that common denominator. So if you guys remember, our common denominator with these, with the 4 and the 3, is 12. So 1/4 equals how many 12ths? So I multiply that by 3. So my answer now is 3 and 3/12. I'm going to erase that 1/4. Over here, I've got to make this over 12. So 3 times 4 gives me 12. So 2 times 4 gives me 8. So now I've got 3 and 3/12 minus 1 and 8/12. Now if we're working with 12s on the number line, that means that there needs to be 12 spaces between a 0 and the 1. So I'm going to make 12. So that means that I made 2 here, so I need to make 6 on each one. So I'm going to divide those up into 2 more. Now I have 4. I'm going to divide those up into 2 more. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, now I've got 12 spaces. I need to do that for all of these. 6. There's 12 there. 12 there. 12 there. Okay, now that they're in 12s, I can make where my mark is. So if I started at 3 and 3/12, I go all the way to my whole number, and then I count plus the 3/12, and these are 12. So I go 1, 2, 3. This is 3 and 3/12. 3 and 3/12. Uh-oh. Okay, we're back. That scared me. Okay, so I have 3 and 3/12. All right, and then the other one is 1 and 8/12. So I need to take one whole and 8/12 away. Or I can count the difference in between them. So I'm going to put my 2, 19. Oh, this is supposed to be No, sorry. Give me a second. But yeah, my 1 and 8 12. So I'm going to put 1 and 8 12s where it's supposed to be. So here's 1, and then I'm going to count to 8. 1 and 8 12s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here's my 1 and 8 12. So they're asking us to find how long, it says up here, how much longer did Chloe spend at the park than riding her bike? So we have to find the difference, this space in here. So to do that, one way that we can do that is we can count how many 12s did it take me to get to 2. So it took me 1, 2, 3, 4 12s to get to 2. Then it took me 1 whole to get to 3 plus 1. Then it would take me 3 more 12s to get to 3 12s. That means that I need to add up 4 12s plus 1 plus 3 12s. So if I just add these two sides up, that gives me 1 and 7 12ths. So same thing as I got up here. I got down here. This way is more counting up. This way is taking away. So there's 2 ways to do that. Make sure that's in your notes. Moving on. All right, so same problem, 3 1/4 hours and 2 1/3 hours. They just want us to picture it a little differently. So another way that you can do it is by using fraction bars to picture the subtracting with mixed numbers. So they start with 3 1/4, so they shaded in 3 holes, and then they divided this one up into 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and they shaded a 4th. Okay? Then this one, they shaded, we spent 3 1/12. Hang on, guys, just figuring out what they did here. You need more 12s to, oh, gotcha. Okay, so then they took away 1 and 8 12ths. Now, in order to take 1 and 8 12ths away, what they did is they knew that they have to get this one into 12ths. So they took the 4ths and they turned them into 12ths. So they divided this one up into 12 and this one up into 12. And they started taking them away. So if I took away a whole, this would be my whole. And then if I took away 8 12ths, I would take away 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I would have to do, hang on a second, what did they do here? Model 3 and 3 12ths. So we've got 3 and 3 12ths, and we're taking away 1 whole, and then the 2/3 turns into 8 12ths. So we need to take away 8 12ths. So 1, 2, 3. Then we would have to divide this one up into 12s as well. This. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've got 3 12ths over here. I've got 1 whole here. I need 4 more 12ths. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and then my answer I get is 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 12ths. Fun. Tricky. Down here, what do? They modeled it using equations. So they have 3 12ths because 3 1/4 turns into 3 12ths, and they have 1 and 8 12ths because 1 2/3 turns into 1 and 8 12ths. Now, what they're doing here is a little bit different. They say they've got 3 holes, and they have 2 holes over here, and then they've got 3 12ths and 15 12ths over here. So they did 2 minus the 1 equals 1, and they did 15 minus the 8 12ths equals 7 12ths. So what did they do here? They knew they had 3 holes and 3 12ths. and we're taking away 2 wholes and 15 twelfths. So what they did here is they knew that they can't, because you have to start when you're subtracting on the right side. So we know we can't take 15 away from 3, right? So we need to borrow from the whole number. So you turn that into a 2, because we're borrowing it, and we're adding a whole number over on this side. So because it's in twelfths, we add 12 over 12 because that's my whole number, and I get 15 over 12. That's why they have this 15 over 12 here. So now I have 2 and 15 twelfths minus 2 and 15 twelfths. All right, so how does that happen? So 15 twelfths minus 15 twelfths. Hang on. That's what they're saying. It's the same as 2 and 15 twelfths. So I've got 2 and 15 twelfths, and I need to minus the 1 and 8 twelfths. So 15 take away 8. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7 twelfths. 2 minus 1 is 1. Holy guacamole. Okay, so we're just going to connect with it a little bit, and then I'm going to show you each of those ways. Minus, I'm going to show you this way, and I'm going to show you this way with a couple of the practice problems. So when we're connecting it, it says, look at the first set of fraction bars and picture it. Why is the last bar split into 12 pieces instead of 4 pieces? So we know that it's split into 12 pieces because 12 is our common denominator. Was our common denominator. Okay. All right, now look at the second set of fraction bars. Why is the 3 and 3 twelfths is now shown as 2 and 15 twelfths? It's shown as that because we know that this can be turned into twelfths too in order to take away more twelfths. We needed more twelfths to take away. Now the model it says regrouping 3 and 3 twelfths as 2 and 15 twelfths helps you find how much longer, how does it help you find how much longer Chloe spent at the park than riding her bikes? Well, it helps us because it lets us take away the right amount of 12. So we needed to take away 8 twelfths, and we couldn't do that when we had 3 over here. So it allows us to take away the 8 twelfths. And she spent 1 and 7 twelfths hours longer. We know that because that's our answer we got here. That's our answer we got here. That's our answer we got here and here. All right, so then it says, show how you can use addition to check your answer. All right, so if I'm using addition to check my answer, one way that you can do it is by taking the 1 and 7 twelfths and adding it to the 1 and 8 twelfths to see if we get the 3 and 3 twelfths. So 1 and 7 twelfths plus 1 and 8 twelfths would give us 2, and then if I added these two top ones, that would give us 15 twelfths. But I can't leave it like that because this is my improper fraction. So I turn that into a mixed number, and I have 12 goes into 15 one whole time, I have 3 left over, and 12. So now I've got 1 and 3 twelfths plus the 2, and that gives me 3 and 3 twelfths, which I know is the correct answer because that's the number that they're taking away from. Do you always need to regroup when you subtract mixed numbers with unlike denominators? Sometimes you will not, but you have to find the common denominators, change the numerators before you decide to regroup. Cross off the bottom. Okay, now here's where we get into it. Are you ready? I showed you a couple different ways, and you're probably like, oh my gosh, Miss Sanders, I am so confused right now, and I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, this is where we clear things up for you, okay? All right, so there are two ways that I like to do it. You ready? We've got 7 3/5 minus 9/10. Okay, one way is writing them up and down like we usually do. So 7 3/5, because that's my bigger number. I've got the 7 as a whole number, minus 9/10. Okay, I always start on the right side of a subtraction problem, just like a regular subtraction problem. And I know I need to do common denominators first because I don't have those. So the first thing I'm going to do is I know that 5 and 10's common denominator is 10. Even if I made my trains 5, 10, 10, there it is. So I just need to change this one. And 3/5 turns into, that's times 2, so it's 6/10. So now I have 7 6/10 minus 9/10. And you're like, well, you can't take away 9/10 away from 6/10. So you need to borrow, and you're going to borrow from the whole number. So to borrow, remember, we're borrowing a whole number. We're going to take it from the 7. We're going to turn it into a 6. But you can't just add like 1. I couldn't say plus 1 because then we still can't take away the 9/10. So we're going to add 1, but we're going to do it in a fraction form using the same denominator that's already there. So this is in tenths already. So in order to make it equal to 1, it would be 10 over 10. That's the same thing as 1 because I've got 10 divided by 10 would give me 1. 10 out of 10 pieces would give me a whole piece. Okay? So I took away the 1 here and I added it on this side. So now I can add these two together and get 16/10. And now I can take 9/10 away from 16/10. So I can count up or I can count down. I like to count up. So 9 to my 10 is 1 plus 6 more is 7. So 16 take away 9 is 7. Use the same denominator, 10. And then I know that I have a 6 over here. So 6 take away nothing is 6. And my answer is 6 7/10. That is one way to do it. The other way is using improper fractions. So the other way to do it is 7 3/5 minus 9/10. Okay, so I can turn this mixed number into an improper fraction by putting my multiplication sign down here and my addition sign up here, and I start here. So I go whoop, and I make like a C starting at the bottom. So 5 times 7 is 35, plus 3 more is 35, 36, 37, 38. So that's my numerator. And I keep the same denominator, which is 5, minus 9/10, because I don't need to do it over here because I don't have a mixed number. Now you've got 38 over 5 minus 9/10. You still can't take that away because you don't have common denominators. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite it up and down to help me make my common denominators. And I know 10 is my common denominator. So 5 times 2 gives me 10. So what is 38 times 2? Now you have to do some side work. 38 times 2, this gives you 16. You carry your 1, so 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. That gives you 76/10 minus 9/10. Okay? Now you can do 76 minus 9. So I'm going to do minus my 9. So that gives me 16, take away 9, 16, which is 6, 7. And I have 67 over 10. Okay? I did 76 minus 9 gives me 67. And I have my 10. Okay? So now you still got an improper fraction and you have to turn it back into a mixed number. So you have to have your whole number and your fractions. So 10 goes into 67. How many times? I'm going to count by tens. 10. Ooh, that's a big sum. Minus, let me zoom out here. Okay, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, oh, it's 60. So it goes in 6 times. 6 whole times. There would be 7 left over 10. So, those are the 2 ways that you can do it. All right, that's without using pictures. That's just the math ways. But it sounds like you're going to have to know how to do both. So, yeah, this is fun. Right, guys? All right, so it says, what is the difference between 2 and 5/8 and 1 and 1/4? So you're finding your difference. I'm going to do it this way because I think this makes more sense to you guys sometimes. So I'm going to try it 2 and 5/8 minus 1 and 1/4. So I need my common denominators, which I know is going to be 8 because if I made these trains, 4 turns into 8. So that's times 2. This will be times 2, so it's 2/8. Now I'm going to have to borrow because I have to do 5/8 minus, oh no, I don't have to borrow. I can do 5/8 minus 2/8, right guys? I can take that away. So 5 take away 2 would give me 3/8, and then 2 take away 1 would give you 1. So you don't have to borrow on that one. Thank goodness, huh? That was a lot faster than we thought it was going to be. Okay. And finally, you get 2. Charlie is practicing the long jump. His first jump is a distance of 16 and 5/6 feet. Each second jump is the distance of 18 and 2/3 feet. How much longer is Charlie's second jump? So when you're subtracting, you always have to start with the bigger number. So you have 18 and 2/3 minus 16 and 5/6. Okay, we're subtracting it. Remember, you cannot subtract something that has a common denominator that's not the same, or a denominator that's not the same, because you have to find common denominators. I know that 3 and 6 have a common denominator of 6, so I have to change this one. And keep this one the same. So 3 times 2 gives me 6, so 2 times 2 would give me 4. Uh-oh, we're running into that problem. I can't take 5 away from 4. Right, guys? Because this number is bigger than this one, and this one I can't take bigger away. So I have to borrow. I'm going to borrow 1 whole. 18 turns into 17. I'm going to add the whole to the other side using the same denominator. So if I'm adding a whole, how many pieces out of 6 pieces would give you a whole piece? It would be 6. So then I add my numerators together, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 6 minus 5/6 would give me 5/6, and 17 minus 6 gives you 1. So B is our answer. Okay, that is it for today. Let us know if your homework gives you any problems, but I think you should be okay. Hopefully you took really great notes. If you didn't, rewind this, do it again, make sure your notes are in there so you can go back and look and see what we did, because that's important. All right, guys. Have a good one.